What's going on, y'all? So let's see. Somebody asked me a question about a week ago. What number car am I on? Oh Lord, I'm holding the phone the wrong way. Okay, well, bear with me. They asked me what number car am I on, and I didn't know for sure. I wasn't sure. Well, the Dodge is number 150. 150th car. So that's where I'm at right now. Number 150. And in 150 cars, I mean, I got 4 pages here of just cars written down, which is just crazy. So I figured I'd tell a story to commemorate the 150th car. Haven't told the story in a while. So I figured I would talk about my first motorhome. Since since this is supposed to be a nomadic channel. Just slowly getting back to that. But anyway, so my first motorhome. So my first motorhome was a 1969 Dodge. Actually, it's called the Glasstron. It just had a Dodge engine and transmission in it. And I bought it for $100 from somebody who let it sit for 30 years. Now in the end, I'll show you a picture of it. Probably be one in the thumbnail. But yeah, so it sat for 30 years when I bought it. It had a hole in the roof. But the reason they called it a Glasstron, if you're familiar with Glasstron, then you know Glasstron makes boats. Well, for 2 years, they decided that it was necessary to make a motorhome. Needless to say, it wasn't the most successful attempt. Now, I'm not saying that it was a bad idea. It was a great concept. It's a fiberglass motorhome with a steel roll cage. And they don't leak, well, that bad. I mean, okay, so they leak, but they don't leak like the other motorhomes with a steel roof. This thing only leaked in one place, and I could never get the leak fixed. And well, $400, the woman told me that if I can get it running and drive it out of there, she'd give it to me for $100. Now the inside wasn't too bad when I got it. It was just dirty and muddy. I don't know why it was muddy. I couldn't tell you why it was muddy, but it was dirty. It was definitely dirty, and um, yeah, it was dirty. And I remember saying, "Yeah, I can get it going, no problem." So my first attempt at getting it running was just to see if it'll run at all, and I put a battery in it, turned it over, and it turned over. Put some gas down the carburetor. That bad boy started up, and it ran good, just for a brief second. That's all I needed to know. I gave her the $100 right then and there. She said, "You'll never get it out of here." Sitting for 32 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. It was 32 years or 22 years. It was sitting for quite a while. And it was sitting since before I was born. And at the time, I think I was 21. No, I couldn't have been 21. I don't know. I was 19. Yeah, I was 19. I was 19 or 20. I was probably 20. Yeah, probably 20. So yeah, so on my list, the Glasstron is number 31, and it was 2004. I might have been 21. How about that? It was 2004 when that happened. No, wait a minute. Yeah, it was 2004, and I had it for 3 years, and it served me well, I must say. Uh, so back to the story about how I got it running. So I went to go put a fuel pump on it. This lady had cows. Well, normally cows don't bother you. So I was underneath of it to put a fuel pump on it. And I don't know what got into this cow. First, he started kicking dirt at me while I was under the thing. Then he took a shit right on me. Cow pies is what they call. They're round and kind of big, about 8 to 10 inches in diameter. Yeah, he did that on me while I was underneath of the thing, trying to put this fuel pump on. Now, it's a good thing that I only had to get up under this thing one time while I was in that cow pasture, because if I would have had to get up under here again, I'm sure I would. It don't stop there. Don't worry, it don't stop there. So I got the fuel pump on. At this point, I'm smelling like cow shit. And I go to get up, and this same cow, I don't know what this cow's issue was with me, but he didn't like me very much at all. He was sitting there and he backed his butt up against the door of the camper because I had the door open, and decided to shit right in the camper, right in the door, and only me. It couldn't happen to nobody else. So once I got him away from there, which was a hassle in itself, I went in there and didn't realize that he had done it and stepped right in it, and it was a mess. It was a mess. So I got the fuel pump on it. Now, I knew that the gas in the gas tank wasn't going to fly, so I didn't even attempt to hook it up to the gas tank. I ran that bad boy off a gas can. I had a 5-gallon gas can. I said, well, let's see what happens. So I run the hose from the fuel pump to the gas can, and it started up. Now, initially, it only ran for a second. I had to rebuild the carburetor. But once I rebuilt the carburetor, I was ready to roll. Minus the fact that I didn't have no brakes. Now, I am accustomed to not having any brakes. This is nothing new for me. Even at that point, I had another car before that had a hole in the floor that didn't have no brakes either. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, so I started up, put it in gear, it rolls forward, good enough for me. Put some brake fluid in the master cylinder, said, all right, I'm going to ride. I get halfway down the driveway, and then it doesn't stop. In fact, it revved up while it was in gear. So then I pulled it out of gear and hoped that it would stop before I got to the road, and it didn't. And it rolled on down the road and across the road, missing cars by inches and into a ravine. Luckily, the ravine was empty. There was no water in it. It just was a ditch. And right on down the hill, just right on down there. So I had to get somebody with a tractor to come get me out of the ravine. And once I got it out of the ravine, I thought maybe it's a good idea if I put some brakes on it. Which I never put brakes on it, actually. I just went and fixed the brake line enough to make it back up the road, because it was down, at the time, it was down in Fredericksburg, which I used to hang out in Fredericksburg, Virginia, because I had land down there, and I still have land down there, but anyway. So it was down in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I had to make it back up to D.C. I made it back up to D.C., and my grandmother had a fit. She said, you ain't parking at... Oh, I'm going to tell you just like she said it. You know, I don't have no cut cards, so prepare your ears. Because my grandmother was a wild card. She said, you ain't parking that goddamn thing up here in this driveway. I don't know what you think. And, I mean, it was dirty at the time. And so I I understood. I said, okay. So I went to the car wash and I tried to wash it. What happened was, the car washes you pay to do the thing. So I pulled into the bay where you wash it, and I knocked the air conditioner off the roof, making a bigger hole in the roof that already had a hole. So I had to patch that up, which came the following day of patching the roof with a piece of fiberglass, and I patched it up, and I had my own sunroof. And then, and then so I took it back home after it was clean, and she didn't have nothing to say about it then because it was clean. It was old looking. It looked like it was from the 60s. It looked like a spaceship. I mean, this thing was ready to just take off. It was old, and I don't know. It was cool as hell. I don't know what else to say. It was better because like before that I had vans. Like it was better than any van, man. It had a bathroom, it had a shower, it had the sink, refrigerator, and surprisingly, it all worked. I couldn't get over that. It all worked. It all worked. Everything worked. The plumbing was good. I was shocked. The only thing that was bad was the generator. The generator didn't work, but that didn't surprise me because it don't look like it ever did. I mean, this thing, it was seized up. But anyway, so yeah, I drove it all through the snow. Me and my dog. I used to let my dog sit on the dashboard. He would sit on the dashboard, and I pull into like a shopping mall parking lot to park overnight or whatever. And the people would walk by the camper and think that it was a toy dog or a stuffed dog, and my dog would bark at him. And he would turn his head, look at him, and then bark, and then turn his head back. And people be like, "Oh, that's a real dog," you know. And then if I made a hard left turn or a hard right turn, he'd slide across the dashboard and then slide back over. But yeah, he used to sit in my dashboard. His name was Buddy. One day I'll tell you all about Buddy. He was a really good dog. He was a really good dog. I remember running through snow banks with it. It'd be snowing up here in the wintertime, and it had a big pile of snow. I'd run right through the big piles of snow. Me and my cousin Mo, we used to do that every year. Every year we would do that. Needless to say, the brakes never really did work, and we drove it like that for years, 3 years to be exact. We drove it with no brakes like that, and I was fairly successful. And it wasn't bad on gas. It had an old 318 with a 2-barrel carburetor, but the difference between that 318 and the 318 that's in this truck is that one had more power because that one was what you call a polyhead 318. A polyhead 318 makes 212 horsepower, whereas this truck barely makes over 100 horsepower because of emissions. See, that didn't have emissions because it was 1969. So that little 318 was ready to fly. I used to race metro buses because I didn't have no real exhaust on the thing. It just kind of had straight pipe. And the UPS trucks and the metro buses and the school buses would get intimidated and they want to drag race. One famous race, I was sitting at the light over here on this place called Sheriff Road, and it's a long straightaway. Long straightaway. A long, long straightaway. And it was me, a school bus. It was me and Mo. Mo was in most of these stores. It was me and Mo. It was a school bus, and it was a UPS truck. And we were sitting all in line at the traffic light. The light, Mo looked at me. I looked at him. The school bus driver looked at me. The UPS driver looked at Mo looked at them, I looked at them. I said, oh, Lord, we done got ourselves into something. Mo said, yeah. You gonna do it? I said, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I'm sitting there and it's sounding off. It sounds like a race car because it has no real exhaust. It came off of the header and literally under the camper and out the side. That light turned green and we all three, don't ever think that a school bus or a UPS truck is slow. Them things will fly. We was getting down going down the road. I mean, we were getting it. Time we got down to the light, because it was us three, and then it was a Honda Civic. The Honda Civic did not even. You would think that the car would win the race. No. The UPS truck won the race. Yeah, the UPS truck did it. Anyway, school bus ain't slow either. Don't ever think of school buses. Them things fly. But anyway, I don't have a lot of time left on this video. Just wanted to tell you all about my motorhome adventure. I guess I'll show y'all a picture of it right quick. You can see that. I don't have any time on my phone is the problem. Like, let me just pull a picture out right quick. If I can. Well, I can't. Well, you're just going to have to look at the thumbnail. But, yeah, that sums it up. As you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but the Glasstron is number 31, if you can see that. Probably not. But, just wanted to tell that quick story. Don't ever underestimate a school bus or UPS truck or old motorhome that's been sitting for 20-some years. They fly. All right, y'all.